Hey, man, how you doing? Great to talk to you. How are things?
Things are good, man. How are things with you?
Things are great.
Long time no talk.
Dissociation drops on October 14th, and everyone's beyond excited to hear that bomb blow. Now, as it's said to be likely to be the last Dillinger Escape Plan album, I would imagine it's got to be a pretty bittersweet feeling. So, how are you feeling personally about the impending release?
I'm excited about it, to be honest. I mean, I personally my favorite record that I've been a part of, of my 8 years being in the Dillinger Escape Plan.
Mm-hmm.
So, this one took a lot out of us to write, and it took longer to write than the two that I've done that I could personally compare.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for me, it's a very personal record, just because a lot of stuff that was happening in our personal lives in some way, shape, or form is reflected in the songwriting and in the parts and in the performance.
I got a chance to listen to Dissociation. To say that it was all over the place would be an understatement for sure. I mean, the thing was more like to a psychotic episode than an album with all the emotional highs and lows. Where were you guys mentally while writing this album?
I mean, we were going through some like, real life transitional phases between there was a divorce and with one of the members in the band. There was interpersonal relationships, deaths in the family. I mean, there was just a lot that it was more of a sense of therapy to write during a time that was pretty morbid and depressing for some of us, and we definitely found a sense of relief and therapy in writing this chaotic music that we do. So yeah, it was torture. It was honestly torture, and I'm so happy and relieved to never have to write this record ever again.
For sure, man. Now, this is a cliche question, I know, but I'm honestly interested, is as far as the songwriting process goes for Dissociation, how did it differ from previous albums that you worked on with Dillinger? I mean, Dillinger albums have always felt real, as if each song was suffocating you in honesty. Yet this album seems to go far beyond that. So beyond, the knowledge that this possibly could be the last Dillinger album and all the personal tragedies that the band faced throughout time, what was different about writing this album from a purely musical standpoint than previous albums?
Well, if you're asking me based on my personal experiences with them, it really wasn't so much different in terms of just, Ben and I getting into a room and writing part for part. And we would be stoked if we had 7 seconds of a piece of music. And we spent a great amount of time just compiling lots of small fragments and rhythms, and just logging them and putting them in folders in his computer before we had any idea of what parts are going to work together, what's going to make a cohesive song, let alone what's going to make a cohesive record. So it wasn't too much different. And at least in terms of compared to One of Us is the Killer, because we were able to do pre-production and on our own. We work in Cubase. We're able to make decent sounding demos, and we can at least have a foresight what production methods we're going to do. We should push the drums in the room. We should have crushed mics here. We should have a bass swell here. So it was more similar to how we wrote One of Us is the Killer, but not so much as Option Paralysis, where Option Paralysis was more just a garage band and rehearsing every day and playing every day. Whereas we just wrote so many parts and then made a song, and then just had to go recreate everything in the studio. And for tracking, I mean, there was a number of songs I didn't even have scratch tracks to. So I would literally just go into the studio and play to nothing. And I would just have to play the song based off of memory. Okay, you're recording, go.
That's crazy.
And there's no backtrack, just click my 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, start playing. And there was a good amount of the record that was made that way. And I even tracked Limerent Death on my own without any member of the band present at Voodoo Studios in Port Jefferson, Long Island.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah. So, just clearly based off of memory. So
That's impressive.
So writing was similar in regards to how we did One of Us is a Killer, but tracking was a lot different doing this record. Because normally we go to California, we work with our producer Steve Evans, and we do everything there, and everything's in house. We have one computer, one hard drive, one studio, one drum set up. This was like we worked at studios all over the place. So drums were done in Puciato at a place called Voodoo Studios, my friend Mike Watt's studio, and guitars were done at Backroom Studios, owned by our guitar player Kevin Antresian, and he's also owner and operator and producer, engineer. And the vocals were split between our producer Steve Evans and Josh Wilbur, and mixed by Kurt Ballou eventually, and with additional engineering. So this record was passed around between a lot of hands as opposed to just keeping it under one roof. And it circumstantially ended up becoming way cooler than what any of us would ever thought, considering that at some degree we were taking shortcuts because we didn't have a label at the time that we were making this record. We were still funding it. And I think if you ask any one of us, the production and overall quality of the record surpassed our expectations.
It definitely sounds fantastic.
It's got its own thing, man. It's got its own personality. Whereas I feel like you can kind of group the last two or three together. They're kind of similarly in terms of sonic sounds and production regards, but this one definitely has its own identity.
So Dillinger Dillinger has always been known for writing spastic music that stands on its own and rises above anything that has come out and tried to replicate that sound. The sense of danger conveyed by the music has never been captured by any band before or since the formation of Dillinger Escape Plan. You joined the band back in 2009? So in hindsight, how has the ride been since you jumped on board?
I mean, I came in at a very spoiling time. When I joined the band, main stage at Soundwave, and at the time I didn't realize it was because we ended up getting another bill from another band, and it just worked out that way. So I come in and I'm like, oh my god, you guys are bigger than I ever thought. I had no idea. After years of these guys just being in a van with no seats and gear gliding around and sleeping on people's floors, sleeping on park benches. I come in and it's just airplanes and hotels, and you know what I mean? So I had a completely different introduction, and I literally laid out none of the blueprints or the trench work that the core members had to work and go through through the calculating infinity and Mr. Machine's touring cycles, and just those stories that I hear, and I'm like, wow, I don't know if I came in at the right time, but I definitely did not come in at the wrong time. Some things I wish I was there to experience, but a lot of this I'm glad I didn't have to experience any of that. So, in some degree, I'm spoiled. In another sense, I'm just happy to pull that part in the whole picture, and I'm just happy to have contributions on 3 consecutive records.
Absolutely, man. So past what's already scheduled, can we expect to see any additional touring for this album? Maybe, extensive touring for the next 20 years or so, because we all don't want to live in a world without Dillinger Escape Plan?
It's when you leave a job, you have your 2 weeks, right? We have our 200 shows we're putting in. You know what I mean? So it's yeah, we're gonna play more. We're still gonna tour. It's not going to be as extensive as we have a pretty extensive tour coming up starting October 12th that goes through November 19th in the States, and that's going to be with Oh Brother and Cult Leader. I'm super excited about that bill because those are 2 of my favorite bands. and then we go out for 3 months in Europe starting in January.
Nice.
So, and after that, I think it's really like small, like weekend warrior things. Might hop on like summer festivals in Europe, and just make like a couple appearances. But like those are the bulk of the touring is happening now. And as far as like an actual like, tour, I haven't heard anything on the horizon so much yet. But I would expect that we're going to be playing shows up until the end of 2017.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so there'll be plenty of opportunities to see us again. I mean, we're, you know, we still have a record to tour on and plenty of shows to play.
Absolutely, man. So Dillinger Escape Plan has always been known for their insane live shows and ferocious crowds. The atmosphere at a Dillinger show, and I've been to quite a few, the atmosphere at a Dillinger show almost spits in the face of the whole idea of safe places. How do you personally feel about the chaos and danger both in the crowd and on the stage? Has there ever been a time where you feared for your own personal safety or the safety of others at a Dillinger performance?
Several times, and that fear has not gone away whatsoever. I never fear my own band members more than when they're on stage. Off stage is fine. Off stage, we can all hang out, we can watch a movie together, we can go out to dinner, you know, share a bowl of popcorn or whatever. On stage, I don't even know who I'm dealing with anymore. Because it's the whole other personality, and there's something that like I see like switch in people, you know, in my band, and it could be terrifying at times. I mean, I've definitely been, I for sure have been scared for my life. I've been bled on. I would like look up and just like see like one of my members just hanging from the rafter and like just in slow motion, like a drop of blood just dripping down on me, and I'm like, all right, well, we're family now. You know?
That's awesome.
Now. Yeah, there's been times. Oh man, I remember seeing. I remember there was this one show in Italy, and I remember, you know, we were so exhausted. We were just had like a level of exhaustion that was just insane. After just playing and playing, we didn't get days off. We really don't get much days off, especially on tour, even off tour because we're writing. But I remember Greg was just like just ready, just like he was like nodding out. He was so tired. He was exhausted. And then when we play, something snapped in him. I'm watching Greg take his one arm, just throwing kids to the back of the venue. One arm, like kids my size, like 160 pounds, and like dude is one arm just launching people. that was probably one of the most terrifying things I've ever felt on stage. And then, you know, I've seen some horror stories. I've seen a kid with his forehead sliced open after a show from a guitar that got broken. Like, and I literally like would see this guy's bone, and I'm like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And he's just like, "Yeah, man, best night of my life." It's like, so, yeah. I don't know, man. I still fear that one day I'm probably gonna. I'm lucky that I've been as unscathed as I have been, but you know, you look at Ben and Greg. I mean, they've put scars and injuries all over each other. You know, I mean, Ben just busted his eye up because like he like butted heads with Greg on stage. You know, not seeing we're in a small club. You're moving around. You're not thinking about what you're doing. Things happen, and he's lucky it just caught his eyebrow. You know, I was worried he wasn't gonna be able to see, but fortunately he stitched up and it all looks fine now. And you know, I've seen scars in the back of like Greg's head from like headstocks of guitars. And like I said, man, I came in at a good time, you know, and like fortunately like my instrument kind of protects me from the chaos a little bit. I got a little bit of a barricade.
Yep, shield.
A little bit of a shield, you know. But I could never do what those guys do ever. So
I don't think many people can.
I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they continue to do it. I just sit there and hit things. People think my job's hard. I'm like, no, I just learn the parts and I play. Like, these are the guys who are like risking their lives every show. Like, I'm more terrified for them than me. You know what I mean? Like, usually every show.
Yeah. So what are some of your fondest memories surrounding the music of Dillinger? Not only while you've been in the band, but before that, when you were on the outside looking in.
It's, you know, it's the type of thing, like, when they first came out and I heard this style, I was just blown away at like what they were able to, how they were able to function as a unit that chaotically, but everything was together. You know what I mean? Just, you know, everything was just so unified and so, like, off course of what was happening at the time. And that's what really intrigued me, was like how tight the band was and how rhythmic the guitars were to the drums, and how everything followed the drums and followed the rhythm, and all started, you know, all started with like the crazy spastic rhythms first, and then, man, I even remember there was like a type of thing like this friend in high school was just like, man, you can play that Dillinger stuff if you tried. I'm like, no, man, I think I can do it. I just will never have the reason to. Remember that? I'll literally never have the reason, because like I'm not going to be in bands that I don't know anybody personally that would play this stuff, and I wouldn't ever see myself starting a band like this personally. Like, when you're not, like, there's already the kings of this style out there, you're not going to compete with them. And then one day, like, the opportunity arose where I had to audition, and then I just had to take my foot out of my mouth and just man up and go for it. And you know, luckily I got the gig.
The funny places life leads us.
It really is weird, man. It really is weird. Like, I met Chris Penny a year before I joined, and he was like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm this guy. You don't know me now, but you might hear of me later. Hopefully I'll do something cool."
That's awesome.
A year later, I end up like in a little band. He was in Coheed at the time.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. So, ultimately, how do you feel personally about Dillinger calling it quits?
How do I feel first? I think I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner.
Yeah?
Yeah. Honestly, I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. Because, I mean, for a number of reasons, man. I mean, there's just a lot going on, you know, and, you know, I will say, like, this band is not in it for the money. Like, all of us could go make more money doing other things, but, like, we're doing this because we all love it. And we know it's bigger than all of us. It means more to other people, arguably sometimes more than it means to us. I mean, I think sometimes, like, I feel like I take it for granted especially when I see, like, how passionate these are, like, the expressions and the faces of some of the people in the audience. Like, man, I didn't realize, like, I just go day to day kind of like forgetting I'm even in this band, you know, and then when Ultimate Tour happens, I'm like, whoa, I'm a part of something crazy. I'm a part of something bigger than me, bigger than all of us. Like, whatever started here is just, I can't give a definition for it. People are like, how would you define, like, the legacy? I'm like, I'm too close to it to define it. You know, I really can't. But it's inspiring, man. It's inspiring to see how other people do it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, I got to ask this question. Do you think that further down the road, there could possibly be new music 10, 20 years down the road, maybe, if the timing is right and the passion's still there?
Yeah, I mean, 20 years down the road, it's hard. It's really hard to say. I can't, you know, I really cannot answer yes or no to that.
Yeah, I hear you.
I have no idea. I know this much. This band has prepped me to be, you know, a seasoned player, and I understand the etiquette in touring, and I you know, understand that I love touring, and you know, there are a lot of people getting in bands and they can't handle the lifestyle of the road. They can't handle, like, you know, being close to friends with 15 people 24/7. You know, most people have, like, their coworkers. They have their 9 to 5. They have some sort of dichotomy in life. They can go home and separate themselves. Like, I'm okay with being with the same set of people, the same cause all the time. I'm okay with that now. And like, it took being in this band, like, you know, to to find that characteristic within myself to pursue this. So I know I intend on playing in bands and touring, and I'm not going to stop. I don't know if it'll be as cool as Dillinger, I don't know what's going to top this, but I know I love this lifestyle. I love playing music. I love touring. I love traveling. I love, all this stuff. And this band has granted me the experience to keep pursuing this lifestyle for a lifetime. So I'm eternally grateful to them, for having me and having me play a part in the legacy.
Absolutely, man. I remember I was probably about 15 years old, and I was given a copy by a friend of the Under the Running Board EP. I was instantly hooked on the organized chaos. It sounds a lot like how you got into it. And following the band through the years, hearing the music progress and mature through time and release, it was a trip. And seeing the trip end, seeing it reach its final destination, so to speak, it's depressing for me and Dillinger Escape Plan fans from across the globe. So we're all dying to know what will come next for you and for the rest of the guys.
I mean, we don't even know.
Oh, yeah?
We really don't even know. This is just one of those things, this band just makes hard decisions and commits to it. Just even having me in the band was a hard decision and committing to it. When they chose me, when I literally knew how to play 2 songs, and the other guys who were auditioning had the whole catalog down, but they chose me on faith. You know what I mean? And so it's just this band will just make hard decisions and commit to it. And the saying with these guys is just trust the process. It's not going to make any sense while you're in it. You're not going to see the forest from the trees, but trust the process. And just like making this record, the whole time, everyone was telling us this record sucks. You know what I mean? We had people telling Ben and I that this record sucks. You guys are blowing it. You guys are blowing it. Songs are not as good. And then when it's all said and done, everyone's praising us. Whoa, this came out far, but we fucking knew. We knew this shit was dope.
But coming to a close anyways, all right, man. Well, you know what? It's been a hell of a ride, and, thank you and the rest of the members of Dillinger Escape Plan, both past members, present members. You guys revolutionized heavy music as far as I'm concerned, and you guys have left us with a lot of precious material to carry us through life.
Well, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Looking forward to everyone's reaction to Dissociation. I think it's the right final chapter in the discography.
Absolutely, man. Well, looking forward to catching you guys on tour. Maybe once, maybe two, maybe a couple more times before it's done.
Yeah, everyone will have an opportunity. There will be an opportunity. We're going to play quite a few shows ahead.
Nice,
so,
nice.